And we should be live. Oh, and I just got a tweet, but I don't have Twitter open. But
I guess I should stop my music, so I'm not just bopping away here while we're recording a podcast.
I think it's fine. There's no reason for you to just do your dance, man. It's cool. Nobody's judging you.
True. How's it going, chat? How's everybody doing this fine Sunday morning?
Yeah, how's it going, everybody? Happy to have you here. Happy to see you. Just clicking on buttons real quick. Hello there, P. Cray and Jerome and Stadia Punk. Listen here, Punk. And everybody else. How's it going? What's up, man? You were going to say something.
Well, I can't remember what I was going to say. What was I going to say? Yeah, it's gone.
Okay.
Two dogs. I like the way you think. Go Jets, go indeed.
Jets, go.
We're up 2-0 on Edmonton, and I'm not a big fan of Edmonton based on Jets 1.0 time and getting knocked out of the playoffs all the time by Edmonton. So I'm feeling pretty damn good right now.
Well, I don't know what happened, but congrats on the hockey shenanigans, as I guess what I'm going to have to say.
Great.
Gavin, yeah, thank you. My wife and I are very much enjoying it, but it's incredibly slow for us to do because it has to be a time when we both have time to sit down and we both want to play. Like, I think it was Friday night. She was like, "You want to play Resident Evil 7?" And I was like, "I don't really feel like sitting over here and turning on the lights and doing all that stuff right now." So we didn't play. But you know, we'll get through it, and then Resident Evil 8 will also be a thing that we do.
Nice.
All right. Hey, if you guys want to do us a favor, Lloyd just tweeted, and I tweeted before. Retweet the tweets and tell people to come hang out with us. And don't forget to click on the like button because that helps everybody know that it basically just boosts the signal. All right. Well, that was weird. Right as soon as I said boost the signal, the analytics blue thing popped up on the screen. Let me get rid of that. That was distracting. Okay. Are you ready to record a show about video games, Lloyd?
I am. I may have seen a thing or two about video games over my years, so I may be able to chat.
I mean, I've never tried doing a video game show, but
I hear that it's that video games are a gateway entertainment device, and I'm kind of scared about that.
All right, here we go. Music or no music?
Do what you got to do.
Okay,
whatever you prefer.
No, that's the wrong button. That's the wrong button. Oh man,
I couldn't hear it anyway. I guess it was only being picked up by your mic through the speakers, and it sounded weird.
No. Wait, really? Hold on.
Yeah.
You didn't hear that?
Nope. You're not sending it.
All right. Well then.
Or you might be, or the gain is, or the gate is too low, or something.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I messed up my settings or something. We'll just start the show.
Sure, we'll do it live.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Stadiacast. I'm Bill. That fella right there is Lloyd. How's it going, Lloyd?
It is going about 1,000,000 times better this Sunday than it was last Sunday. So this is a good one. I'm excited to talk about video games.
Absolutely. Before we get started, we do talk about video games every single Sunday, 10 a.m. U.S. Eastern. Head on over to our YouTube channel. If you're listening to the podcast, head on over to the YouTube channel, nerdnest.tv. Just type that in your URL bar. Hit the subscribe button. Turn on the alerts because it lets you know whenever we go live or post a new video. And like I said, every Sunday, 10 a.m. U.S. Eastern, we talk about Stadia and everything that's happening with everybody who's here live in the chat. So thank you very much for that. If you want to make sure that we see your message, use the super chat feature. It supports the show and it lets us find your message easier. Also, if you want to click on the other buttons down below, like the join button or the applause button or any of those other things, go right ahead and do that, and you'll find out why you should. But I'm not going to talk about it anymore. Let's get started with the video games. Thank you very much for the super chat there, Sukotronic. Let's start with the video games. Lloyd, what have you been playing this week, man?
It's been kind of a slow gaming week. Some people know through Twitter, some people know through Discord, but my daughter had surgery on Wednesday to remove a tumor on her thigh bone. So it's been a little bit stressful running up to that. She's doing great, by the way. Everything is good. Thanks everybody for the well wishes. She loved reading each and every one. But because of that, I only got a little bit into my second play of Resident Evil Village. I'm playing through in a harder difficulty, playing through trying to max out all the weapons. As I said last week, I needed 80,000 of the whatever challenge points or whatever to unlock the unlimited ammo for my grenade launcher. So I went and did that. I did a bunch of easy to complete quests, unlock the unlimited ammo for my grenade launcher, and it's fun just basically walking around and shooting people in the face with explodable grenades. It's kind of a very fun way to play this video game. So played a little bit of that and then had to put it to the side for obvious reasons. But I gotta say, Resident Evil Village, what a fantastic game. Even playing through it a second time, it's amazing how much of the game I forgot in my first play to my second play, and it's just like, where the hell is that key? How do I do this? It's like, oh yeah, that's right, it's on the third floor. And then I shamble up myself to the third floor, pick up that stuff, grab all the loots, and make my way through the game. So what a great game. Sorry, Clive, for the spoilers. There is a grenade launcher.
That was my reaction too. I was like, they have a grenade launcher in the game? Oh my god, I can't wait to play that game. Before we started recording the show, somebody in chat was saying that they were enjoying the my playthrough of Resident Evil 7, where I'm playing and my wife has a microphone as well, and we're talking about the game as I'm playing it. And she has said, well, we can't play Resident Evil 8 until we finish Resident Evil 7. I can't wait to get back to the game, but sometimes I just don't want to sit over here and I just want to sit on the couch. So I have not been playing Resident Evil 7 as much as I would want to, and as much as my wife would want me to as well. But we'll get back to it. We'll keep playing that game. It's really good, and I have no idea how far I am into it. I have the shotgun at this point, so I'm guessing not very far at all, which is ridiculous because I've been playing for a long time, it seems like. But maybe it's because, I like it's all so spaced out because I'm not sitting down and playing in an incredibly long chunk of like 4 hours or something. So I don't know how much longer it's going to take me, but I'm very much enjoying that game. Another game. Go ahead.
I was going to say, it is a great game, and it's one of those games where it kind of ramps up near the end. So it might seem like it's slow slogging, and then all of a sudden, before you know it, you've beaten the game. So, yeah, I'm glad you're enjoying it. I really do like Resident Evil 7. Resident Evil 8 has been just an amazing experience as well. So I'm curious to see what you're going to think of that when you finally get to it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think that game's really fantastic, and I'm completely impressed by what they've done. They've nailed the atmosphere. But we've talked about Resident Evil 7 and 8 for, it seems like a month now. We've been talking about those games every episode, so I don't want to dive into it too much.
Sure.
I want to talk a little bit, because I haven't played much at all this week, but I did play Gods Will Fall.
Yeah.
Google sent us review codes for that game because there's new DLC, and the first time that the game came out, we were just like, well, we've got too much to play right now. We're not going to request a review code. And then the DLC came out, and I felt like, well, there's not a lot of new stuff on Stadia at this point. I want to check it out, especially since I can't play Resident Evil 8 right now. So I sent a request, and they sent us codes. That game is very surprising. What you did our first look at it. What do you think about that game, Lloyd?
It's not at all what I expected. When I first saw the videos, I thought it was going to be kind of like a Dark Souls kind of game where it's going to be kind of slow and plodding and more dodging than attacking. And it turns out that's not what this game is. Basically, what Gods Will Fall is it's kind of a roguelite, sort of. When you start the game, you're given a randomly generated collection of 8 villagers that are trying to defeat all the gods to take their world back. So you'll have some larger set characters which are slow, more melee focused. Then you have usually skinnier characters which are more speedy, kind of attack with swords and daggers and things like that. But the actual world itself isn't randomly generated, but then you go to a lair, and then the lairs are kind of randomly generated. So it's kind of like this weird mix of procedurally generated stuff and not procedurally generated stuff. Basically, when you jump into the game, there's 8 gods that you have to kill, and you have to kill them in whatever order you want. What you don't know is when you start a new game, each boss will have a different a different power level kind of thing, but you can't see that. So the first one you go in, say I went into this like kind of sea creature kind of thing. I went in on my first play during my first look, and it turned out that I had them as easy, so I was able to kill them not with just a few hits, and beat that boss, and everything was good. But I tried it again, and the boss was a little bit tougher. So the difficulty changes between plays, so you have to kind of get lucky. And I guess the big twist for this game is if you die in a challenge or a lair or whatever you want to call them, your character stays in that lair, and the only way you can get that character back is by beating that boss with another character. So in my first look, I somehow walked off a cliff in the tutorial level, and that character died, and I'm like, you got to be freaking kidding me, how did I die in the first level? And then I went through, got to the end, and then both characters walk out of the trial, and stuff like that. So it's very interesting, and it's not your standard way to kind of play like these roguelite kind of games. So I'm really enjoying it. I'm not super far. I've only gotten into one other layer from my first look, but I'm really enjoying it. And then, as Bill said, with the DLC out, the DLC adds new gods, new challenges, new weapons, new everything. So it sounds like there's going to be almost a doubling of the content in the game by the time that the season pass is complete. So yeah, I'm really enjoying Gods Will Fall. What are your thoughts on it, Bill?
Well, first off, I want to talk about the art direction because everything looks
Yeah.
like a painting. It is a
Yeah.
gorgeous game, and it's it's very solid frame rate. Like the animations look great, but it is a very, very pretty game. The art direction is absolutely fantastic. I
Yeah.
love the way that this game looks. I love the way that the game controls as well. So you have your, I mean, look, it's a typical combat, melee combat game where, you know, you press X to do your light attack, Y is your heavy attack, but then you can also pick up weapons, and you can use the, so if I defeat like a monster, I can pick up their axe that they were using, and I can use that as my weapon, or I can just chuck it at an
Yep.
enemy by holding down the R1 button and either pressing X or Y, and they'll like sometimes it'll just kill them outright.
Yep.
The other thing that I really like about this game that I feel like is kind of unique is the health mechanics. So
Yeah.
your health bar is called vigor, and you have, each character has a certain amount of vigor that they have, which is when you're trying to decide who's going to go into this particular dungeon, you want to look at each character, and some of them will be like, oh man, I've been having dreams about this place, I'm not going in there because they're -3 vigor. And so you're like, all right, I don't want to bring this character into that dungeon because not only are they -3 vigor, but they're also -3 starting vigor. So they have less health, less full health than they normally would, and they start at not full health. So you
Right.
have to keep that in mind too. Now, in order to heal, you can pick up items and stuff that will let you heal, but the cooler way of healing is by doing damage. So basically the way it works is, as you are fighting a monster, you're doing damage to that monster, and as you do that damage, it fills up the empty vigor cells with like what they call bloodlust. And at any time, if you have a certain amount, I haven't quite figured out the right amount yet, but if you have a certain amount, if you just pull the left trigger, it will convert that bloodlust into health,
Right.
into
Right.
vigor. So that's basically how you heal. And if you're good with your parries, so like you have the ability to dodge, and if you dodge towards the enemy at the exact right time, you'll parry them, which gives you a huge bonus to damage, and it will really increase the amount of bloodlust that you have so that you can heal from really low very, very quickly. And overall, I think that mechanic is incredibly cool. You
Yeah.
stack, go ahead.
I was gonna say it borrows a lot from, say, like a Doom 2016 or Doom Eternal,
Hmm.
where you want to get into battles instead of just standing back and waiting to heal. Because as you stand back and are not attacking, your vigor that you've built up, the temporary vigor that you can then turn to health, slowly starts draining. So you have to keep doing damage to keep that up. But if you take damage, then that jumps down a lot. So there's very much a risk versus reward thing. And as Bill was saying, if you go into a particular layer with a character that had a nightmare about whatever boss, it drops down. But if you die, it also, depending on, I guess, the relationship levels that are
Hmm.
randomly generated. If Bob dies in this dungeon, Jane or Fred might say, "Oh my God, that was my best friend. I don't know what to do now." And then their health or their power or their strength goes down because of that. So dying in a dungeon is more than just you can't use that character. It might negatively impact characters. It could also positively impact them. One of the guys might get like, "Oh my God, I'm going to save the day," and then all of a sudden he gets 2 more strength because of it. So there's a lot of these kind of plus minus systems that are at play, and they're not very apparent. So you can do something and you're not sure how it's going to affect everything else by either dying or whatever. But I don't know. It's just there's something compelling about it, and I've really been enjoying it. And the nice thing about the DLC, if you get the deluxe pack or you buy the DLC, it just adds another portal on your map. So it's not a new game mode. It's not anything else. If you want to jump into that new content on a new playthrough, you can easily go in and do that and get some of the new weapons, some of the new equipment that are brought with that additional content as well. So yeah, what a fun title, Bill, and not something that I don't want to say that I was not super interested in it, but I thought it was more of a Dark Soulsy kind of game, which I like, but not all the time. Like I need to be in a specific mood to play it. This is not that at all. And as you said, you kill an enemy, you can pick up his weapon and toss it at another enemy, which I love because you'll kill a couple guys and then you just pick up their weapons and chuck it at everybody else. Or you'll get lucky and get a pole arm, and then all of a sudden you can attack from super far away, and it's almost like an OP god weapon
Nice.
until you get attacked from behind, and it's like, ah, crap. Okay, I'm slow when I'm holding this. So everything has risk versus reward, pluses and minuses, and it's been fun trying to figure all that stuff out.
Yeah, the different weapons that you can get in the game are really cool too. So like I'm super early. I'm sure that there's a million things that I haven't unlocked yet. So like right now all of my characters are using crappy weapons. But
Right.
like you've got the people wielding dual maces and they attack incredibly fast. And then you've got like my favorite one is the war mace, where if you hold down the Y button, they will set
Mm.
it on the ground behind them and just kind of walk slowly towards the enemy. And if you let go, then they'll Captain America Mjolnir the chin of the nearest enemy. It's really, really cool.
Yep.
And then there's also items that you can get when you're in the dungeon. And if you complete the dungeon, then you bring those items out and then you go to the next place and you select somebody and you're like, what do you want to equip them with? All right, well, I've got this person who has a regular mace. I'm going to give them this shield that I just found in there
Right.
too. They can go in and maybe some. There was one thing I can't remember. I think it was called Blood Moss, which was this huge heal
Right.
to my what's the to my bloodlust. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna hit this button, get back a bunch of bloodlust, and then convert that into health. It was really cool. So you've
Mhm.
got all of these different things that can translate between the different dungeons, and each character has skills that they will slowly gain over time, and they can even
Mhm.
teach those skills to the other people,
Yeah.
the randomly generated group of 8 that you are going with.
Right.
This game has a lot of very cool mechanics, and I am very much enjoying it. And I feel like a lot of people, myself included, when it first came out, just kind of passed on it because it came out at the wrong time.
Mhm.
Don't sleep on this one. It's really good. With the qualifier that I've only played a little, but I'm really hyped
Exactly.
for it.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you there. It's there's so much going on in this game. There's layers upon layers upon layers of different play mechanics, and they don't seem to get in the way of each other either. So, my only complaint with the game is I wish I could see which bosses were tougher and which bosses were weaker, so that I could plan out things. Like it doesn't have to. You don't even have to have like stars above the various layers. It would be nice if there was just a text that comes up and is like, the boss blah and boss blah seem to be there's some whimpering sounds coming from the lair, and then okay, those ones are a little bit weaker, while there's roars of fury from these other two. Okay, I'll save those ones for last. Just something like that would be good, because I've seen some other chat online where people are like, yeah, I went into my first dungeon and I just got slaughtered, and then I put the game down and never touched it again,
Mm-hmm.
because they happened to get into a layer that had a really really tough boss. So things like that would be nice. The fact that there is a DLC roadmap. The first one came out. There's two others that are coming out as part of the DLC pack. I believe there's free DLC that is coming as well. So it seems like the developers really want to support this game. It's available on all platforms as well. So that there's going to be a lot of development happening, and hopefully a lot of play testing and bug fixes and adjustments as things go. But yeah, Gods Will Fall, fantastic title, and what a surprise on Stadia. As I said, I thought it was a Souls-like, so I was just kind of but it is definitely not that. It's more of a I don't know, a slower Diablo, we'll say. Like you're kind of being more methodical and plotting with your attacks and making your way through these layers, and not in a bad way. You want to go slow. You want to get your weapons. You want to build your bloodlust so that you can heal. Just so many great systems. I'm really, really enjoying it.
Yeah, and I will say, you complained, you had one complaint. I also have a complaint. When you're in a dungeon, there's no map. And
Yeah.
I was in this one dungeon, and I'd killed every monster that I could find, and I just couldn't find where I needed to go next. Like I couldn't find the spot. And that is incredibly frustrating when you don't know where you can, like, all right, let me bring up a map and say, oh look, there's a gray area that I haven't been to yet. Like that's just incredibly frustrating. Maybe it's an
Yeah.
item that you can find in the
Yeah.
game later. Like
If you
that would be fine too. But right now, that's my only complaint about this game. It's
Mhm.
beautiful. The sound design is really good. The music is really good. The gameplay is fantastic, and it has a lot of deep mechanics that I think can give you a lot of replayability.
Right.
All right, let's move on and let's talk about a game that I don't. Have you played Moonlighter before?
Yeah, I played it on the Nintendo Switch is where I played it.
Okay, I played it on PS4. That game is two different games, in my opinion. And I want to hear your thoughts on it before I go.
Sure. So yeah, Moonlighter is kind of like two games mashed into one. It's a procedurally generated dungeon crawler where you go down trying to get more and more and more and more better loot, and you take that loot out of the dungeon, and then it's also something that you can sell. So you get really good loot, and then you use it to sell to get more money to then get better loot that you can buy and take into the dungeon. So it's kind of like a game of two games, both very different from each other, but both really well done.
Yeah, I love the idea of this game and the mechanics of going into the dungeon and fighting the enemies is really great.
Yep.
The animation is wonderful and fantastic.
Yep.
Coming back out of the dungeon and then setting up your store, I didn't enjoy that part of the game. A lot of people love that part of the game. For me, I
Right.
just didn't enjoy that part because basically, so you come back from your dungeon run and you set up shop and you're like, okay, here's this thing that I got, this um, glop of goo, right? I got this glop of goo. I'm going to
Right.
sell this for 100 gold, and I'm just making numbers up.
Hmm.
Okay, then the customers come in, and you sit there and you watch them, and they walk up to the glop of goo and they look at it, and you can see that they're thinking about it, and then maybe they shake their head because they think it's too expensive, and so they go on to do something else, and I'm just like, okay, so I have to pay close attention to this stuff and start to figure out what will people be willing to pay for this particular item, what will people be willing to pay for that particular item, which is great. It just
Hmm.
wasn't interesting to me, which is too bad because I love the dungeon delving part of the game. I just didn't like the store management part of the game. So
Right.
uh, how did you feel about the store management part of the game? Is it just because it's me, or was that tedious to you as well?
I enjoyed it, and I was always like confused when I was playing. It's like, okay, well, it sold well yesterday. Why is it not selling well today? And I could never kind of get on it. And then I read a Steam kind of walkthrough, which kind of explained the selling mechanics a little bit better. And I'm like, oh, okay. So there's an optimal price, but that optimal price is only good if everybody is super happy or super upset or whatever. And I'm like, okay, that explained that system to me. So once some of the magic went away, or some of the mystery went away, I was able to enjoy it a little bit more. But yeah, it is definitely a game of two games. And yeah, I'm super excited about that one.
Yeah, and just so everybody knows, we haven't mentioned what the news about that game is that it was rated by the ESRB, which, ESRB, Peggy, they're always leaking stuff. So we've seen games rated by the ESRB for Stadia that have not come yet, still after a long period of time, like Mafia. But then we've seen games that are rated by the ESRB and then they drop almost instantaneously.
Yeah.
Moonlighter's on lots and lots of different platforms, so I fully expect that it's going to come to Google Stadia as well. And if you think that the selling mechanic would be something that you would enjoy, then you should definitely pick this game up because the dungeon diving mechanic is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Definitely. Yeah, it's 8-bit, between 8 and 16-bit, so it has that kind of pixel art look. It has really great music, really great battle mechanics. And yeah, it'll your mileage may vary if you like running your own dungeon. Basically, the whole idea around it is where does all the stuff come from that these adventurers buy? Well, this is what happens. You get these really I don't know, I don't want to say greedy. I don't even know what the word I'm trying to say, but you get these people that are really engaged on going and grabbing loot so they can sell to the other adventurers that maybe aren't as I don't know, devoted as them. So I kind of enjoy that part about it. It's like, okay, I'm going into the dungeon so that I can sell things to other people that are going into the dungeon. But yeah, it's done in a really great way, and yeah, it's been out for a while. Fantastic title, and it'll be really great to see on Google Stadia.
All right, let's talk about Outcasters. Outcasters, Google Stadia sent out an email to everybody, and they said, "We're no longer the publisher of Outcasters. That is now." And I when made the show notes, I pasted the wrong link, so I
Yeah,
I
it's
can't I
it's
can't open that up.
it's
It's
changing to War Chest Limited from
right.
Google LLC.
Right, and but War Chest Limited is it's a company that is like a subsidiary of Splash Damage.
Right.
Right,
Exactly. It's a publishing part of Splash Damage.
right. I think, and I think that this is a really good thing for that game,
Mm, yeah.
because for that particular game, it needs to have continuous updates in order to be relevant.
Yeah.
And Google has said, look, we're done making our own games,
Yeah.
so they're not going to update it anymore. So the fact
Right.
that it now has a new publisher, I think, is fantastic. Now, my hope is that the new publisher will make this a free to play game supported by microtransactions, because then I think they have a hit on their hands.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree fully. I'm really excited about this one. I was kind of confused when I got the email, And I'm like, Outriders? Why is Outriders? I mean, they've only
Outcasters.
released one patch, right? But I read Outriders, and I'm
Oh,
like, they've only released one patch. Like, why are they changing? And why was Google publishing it in the first part? And then I was like, oh, Outcasters. Okay, that makes total sense. There's too many out games on Stadia, so my initial confusion was over what game it was. But then I saw that, and I'm like, you know what? This makes total sense. I haven't seen much from Outcasters since launch. They were hitting it hard for the first little bit, releasing the DLC, releasing like contests to make awesome new characters out of all the DLC stuff. Um, what this game really needs is crossplay and multiple platforms playing it. So I'd love to see this game on every platform with crossplay, so that when you're playing on Stadia, you're able to quickly jump in and find other battles to play into. So I think this is a good thing, but it just kind of shows that, yeah, Google's not making their own games anymore. They tried that. They said this isn't for us, and now they're doing some other things.
right. And again, this is the kind of game that would do incredibly well if you didn't have to pay for it, but you had to pay for the fashion show. I think that
Yeah,
makes a whole bunch of sense. You know, you sell a headpiece for $2, you sell a chest piece for $2, you sell
yeah,
the pants and the cape and all of the different pieces for $2 a piece, or you spend $10 and you get the whole outfit. Like,
right.
that's going to get a lot of people to throw money at, was it
War Chest
war chest.
Limited.
Yeah, it's going to get a lot of people to throw money at war chest, but nobody is going to spend money on the different costumes if they have to buy the game. Like,
Right.
nobody is like, it's just not going to happen. So this is a game that needs to be free to play in order to succeed, in my opinion. And if I have anything that supports, any evidence that supports the idea that a game will do better when it's multi-platform and free to play and supported with microtransactions or a battle pass system or something like that with crossplay, then look no further than next week, because next week Super Bomberman R Online, SBRO as we like to call it,
Yep.
SBRO is going to be coming to other platforms with
Yep.
full crossplay. It's going to continue to be a free to play game. It started out as a pro game that you had to pay money for if you weren't a pro member, but now it's free to play. It's going to continue to be free to play with cross platform, supported by a battle pass and cosmetics. I anticipate that this game is going to do incredibly well
Yep.
once that happens. And this is very good news for people who like that game on Stadia, because it's going to be so much easier to get a match.
100%. Yeah, they're in the addition of multiple platforms and free to play for this game and cross play. So it's coming on PlayStation, Switch, and PC in addition to Stadia. So you'll be able to find a lot more people, which is great. But they're adding a season pass. So it's going to be kind of a battle pass. I believe every 3 months they're planning on having a season. So there's going to be new characters that you can unlock, new hats and various other items, which is great. This is the perfect way to keep this game going. I know a lot of people love Bomberman. Super Bomberman R, when it launched on Switch, had a lot of people super happy about it. A lot of people playing it, talking about it all the time. This battle royale version of it on Stadia was fantastic, and now it's going to be great to see this game come to other platforms with more multiplayer possibility because of crossplay.
And what I really do hope is, my one gripe with Super Bomberman R is that there are some people who are just way too good. So I hope
Yeah,
that they have like some kind of ranking system, so that if I want
yeah,
to play a match online, I don't get matched up against Gem. No offense, Gem, you're too good at the game. I'm too bad
yeah.
at the game, and I don't have the time or desire to, as the kids say, get good. So
Yeah.
I just want to hop in and play against people of similar skill level. And that's something that I would really, really like to see in Super Bomberman R Online, is some kind of skill level ranking system, so that I don't get matched up against people who like they know exactly, like, all right, I'm going to move this many squares over, this many squares down. I'm going to place a bomb. I'm going to go left, down, and then to the right. I'm going to place a bomb. And that pattern is going to give the person that I'm up against nowhere to go. I can't learn that stuff, and I don't want to
Yeah.
play against those people.
Well, I remember when we did kind of like the mini tournament stream kind of thing that we were doing, and there was that one player, I can't recall this person's name, but they were running around the map constantly, never stopped running, placing bombs in the perfect places at all times. And we were chatting. It's like, what the hell? How did you get so good? Oh, well, there's a Japanese version of Bomberman, and there's a lot of people that are that play it competitively, and I've been playing it for years. And it's like, oh, it totally makes sense. You're skilled at Bomberman because you've been playing Bomberman for years, but you wiped the floor with the rest of us.
Yeah. All right. Speaking of games that are cross-play, we're gonna have a beta this week of Destiny 2. Like the last time that they did this, it was by accident. They flipped the wrong switch.
Right.
Somebody, I'm imagining, like somebody has it plugged into the to the outlet in the garage, like in National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. So they every time somebody went out to the garage to get a soda, they were turning on crossplay. Well, this time they're like, all right, we're doing it on purpose this time. So we're going to have crossplay, and here's what they have to say. And I forgot to set it up so I could put it on screen, and I apologize. In the early hours of the season of the Splicer, a few of you got the first unfiltered taste of crossplay. They should have put in there by accident. Even though this was caused by... Oh, they did. Okay. Even though this was caused by a bug, we saw players mingling between platforms, which was awesome. That said, we need to smash that bug like a subscribe button. Hey, you know, since we're talking about this is their words, not mine. All right. But since they mention it, go ahead and click on that subscribe button. It really does help to get our release back on track. So they said it's shipping with season 15, and there's going to be a cross-play beta, which starts on May 25th, and today is the 23rd. So in 2 days, and it's going through May 27th. The fact that it's during the week is kind of irritating to me. I was hoping it would be like on a weekend when I would have more time, but May 25th through May 27th, you're going to be able to do what's called Vanguard Strikes. I don't play Destiny 2 actively, so it's when I saw this, I had to ask in our community Discord, link in the description down below. I was like, is Vanguard PvE or PvP? And they said it's PvE, and I was like, okay, then I'm in. I want to try it out. So you can do a unique Vanguard Strikes crossplay beta playlist. That's a sentence right there. Will be available to all players in Destiny 2. You'll be match made with Guardians playing on PlayStation, Xbox, Steam, and Stadia. As you fight through the enemy waves of darkness, our teams will be scouring data and performing a multitude of actions to test the integrity of our upcoming cross-play system. Lloyd, what are your thoughts, man?
Well, first I gotta say I love the date that they chose to start this crossplay beta.
Yes,
Because that's my birthday. May 25th is my birthday, and I'm gonna be doing a stream here, probably 6 hours, 5 hours, something like that, starting at about noon my time is where I'm kind of trying to pinpoint that out. So I'll be posting an event, so you'll be able to sign up for notifications when that goes live. So first that jumped out at me, but yeah, besides the selfish part of that sentence, this is great. Crossplay in Destiny is the biggest thing that is game. I know I would play a lot more Destiny if I could play with my friends, because they don't play on Stadia, and I mainly play on Stadia. So if I could jump in and play with my buddies on Xbox or PlayStation, I'm going to be way more likely to jump into some Destiny 2. So this is great news all around.
Yeah, and you know what I like is that they're not including PC with that.
Yeah.
I don't want people who are on mouse and keyboard to be mixed with people who are not on mouse and keyboard. Like Fortnite found a good way to avoid that, but you can get, like in Fortnite, you can get somebody in that's on mouse and keyboard, but like you have to invite them, and that's the risk that that you're taking. If okay, well, now that this person's on mouse and keyboard, that means we're matched against PC players who
Exactly.
will have a much better experience than we will because we're on a controller, which means we're kind of less than. So
That's
I
great.
like that they're not doing that. But I mean, the way that it's phrased, it doesn't seem like you have the option of inviting somebody who's on PC. Am I right, Lloyd?
Yeah, it seems that way. And it makes me
Mm,
wonder what's going to happen if you're playing Stadia through a web browser with mouse and
right.
keyboard. Are you only matched against PC people then, and other? Because I believe the way Destiny works is if you because you can hook up a mouse and keyboard to like an Xbox or a
Yeah.
PlayStation, and then you get matched in with those players on your platform. So if you're playing mouse and keyboard on Xbox, I believe you only get matched with other mouse and keyboard players. I believe. I could be wrong.
Unless they have somebody in their group that is
That's
on
right.
a controller.
Yeah, so mouse and keyboard is kind of like the top tier. So if anybody is in that tier, everybody is matched at that
Hmm.
at that thing. I think that's the way it works. So it'll be interesting to see if that's what happens with PC down the road, where if you connect a mouse and keyboard and you're playing that way, you'll be matched with other mouse and keyboard players on console, and then all the PC stuff, which would be a good way to do that. Yeah, it's great. Along with this title, with this announcement, they they announced that Vault of Glass is coming back, and people already beat it. Like they got the world first, like not even 24 hours after launch. People are insane about these big raids that are in Destiny. So yeah, being able to do this with your buddies across platforms, that rocks. I'm excited for that.
Yeah. All right. Moving on. There is a game called Foreclosed, which has
Mm,
it has a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful art style. Very
yeah.
comic booky. I wish I could put it on screen right now. Actually, you know what, Lloyd? Why don't you talk about it for a minute, and I'm gonna see if I can put it on screen so that people can see it.
Sure. So it's the look of it feels very much I don't know. It's kind of like it reminds me a little bit of cyberpunk with kind of the world with like super bright neon and super dark shadows. Although the shadows aren't really black in this game. But yeah, it's a game where it plays out kind of comic booky, as Bill said. It looks like there's cutscenes and things, but you have like telekinetic powers and you're shooting people and you're going into first person mode, and it just looks ridiculous. And then of course you get like the kaboom and rat-a-tat-tats pop up on screen because it is very comic booky. This game looks very interesting. I don't think I've ever seen any gameplay of this prior to seeing this video. So I don't know if I missed it before, if it was in kind of like other videos that were released, but this game looks fantastic. It reminds me of a game that I played on PlayStation VR, whose name that I'm blanking on. So yeah, this looks good. All the way back from Comic Zone on Sega Genesis, I love games that have kind of like comic book panels and comic book effects.
Hmm.
So when I see a game like that, it makes me instantly smile.
Yeah, when I'm looking at this, like right now, I've got it paused on a frame that shows like three different views of the character walking, and I'm wondering, is that video editing or is that part of the game? Like, do you see
Right.
the game in this comic book panel style
Right.
as you play, or is that just they like look, our art direction is comic booky, so let's comic book the video editing in order to kind of sell that. I hope that this kind of thing is in the game. Another thing that I
Yeah.
really like that I was noticing is the UI is extremely minimalist. So I've got it paused right here. You can see your character. You can see like it seems like they must have some kind of microchip in the back of their skull, and you can see all of their veins and their neurons and stuff going through different parts of their body. And then on
Hmm.
their back, you can see like these four squares, which are clearly going to be abilities that you can use as you play. Like here's another one. You can see the abilities. I'm sorry, audio listeners. I apologize, but you can see like the different abilities. Like there's one that looks like it gets rid of somebody's batteries. You can knock people down. There's another one that will like lock them in place, and then there's one that's like a defensive one. And then above
Yeah.
them, above the character, there's like this microchip that looks like it's getting overheated. And I'm guessing I haven't read anything about this, but I'm guessing that that's because they're using 3 of these abilities at the same time, and maybe
Mm,
that's going to make it hard for them to continue doing whatever it is that they're doing. Whatever
right.
this is very intriguing to me, and we've
Definitely.
got the release date finally. It's coming on August 12th.
Mm,
This is
hmm.
probably going to be a day one for me. This looks great.
I agree. Stacy in the chat room is saying it looks like 13.
Mm-hmm.
100% looks like 13. That is exactly the game that popped in my mind when I saw the motion of this game. It looks fantastic. The little things that Bill was just talking about, the little powers and things, that's what makes me think of Cyberpunk so much. It's like your different hacking skills or whatever that have cooldowns. Yeah, this game looks really nice, and I definitely cannot wait to play this one as well.
All right, that's it for our news. And now we're going to talk about the things that you all wanted us to talk about. So these are the super chats that came in while Lloyd and I were talking about video games. So first off, Sukotronic sent in a super chat with no message, as they always do. Thank you very much for the support, Sukotronic. We appreciate it. Two Dogs sent in a super chat. They said, I like that qualifier. I also trust both your opinions on games. Turing effect. Okay, I'm not sure which qualifier that they were talking about at that point, but maybe you know, and I'll give you a chance to talk in a sec. Turing effect was fun. How do Kona and Invictus compare? So I haven't played very much of Turing effect. I haven't played Invictus at all. Kona, I would say, is very different than Turing effect. Did you play Kona at
Yeah,
all, Lloyd?
I did. So Kona is more like a first-person version of an old point-and-click adventure, sort
Mm-hmm.
of. You are very much going through things, looking for stuff, combining things together, fixing your car, trying to make your way into the thing. It reminded me a lot of oh, what's the name of that thing where all about the fire towers and you're walking around?
Firewatch.
Firewatch. There you go. It reminded me like Firewatch in the snow,
Mm-hmm.
essentially. So that's good. I don't believe I've played Invictus at all. So yeah, I can't I can't talk about that game. But yeah, Kona is definitely a much different game. The Turing effect was all puzzles. It was very much a portal kind of game where you're getting skills and then using those skills in puzzles and things like that.
Yeah, and he did say he was talking about the qualifier that we were really enjoying Gods Will Fall, but we hadn't played very much, and so
Ah,
he
yes,
was saying
yes,
I
yes,
like
yes.
that qualifier. So thank you very much for the support, Two Dogs. And I would say that if you enjoyed Turing Effect, I
Mm,
haven't played Invictus, but find a way to play Portal. I know it's not on Stadia, and that's definitely never coming to Stadia because it's a Steam game. It's a Valve game. But you're in for an absolute treat. If you have not played Portal, play it right now. All right, moving on. Anthony Talcott sent in a super chat for $10. Thank you very much, Anthony. We appreciate the support. He says,
thank
do
you.
you guys think Google should talk about where Stadia is heading, especially with all the recent news? Also, maybe an interview with the new head of Stadia. Look, I'll tackle the last part first. Google knows. We always
Yep.
have an open invitation for anybody from Google to come talk to us. Why they reached out to us at the very beginning, I don't know. It was super
Yep.
cool, but since
Was.
then, it seems like they're going with people who they're talking to people who have much larger audiences, mostly because the people who watch our stuff, they're already convinced. They don't need convincing. They don't need to be told why Stadia is good. We all play Stadia all the time. We know Stadia is good. So they need to get people who have a wider audience or an audience that pays attention to things that aren't just Stadia. And that's why they're going to those other publications like, what was it, Euro? No, not Eurogamer. It was the Escapist. Like
Right.
Escapist, like that's a wider publication. So that kind of thing. Hey, Melissa Smith, relax. All right. Anyway, what do you think, Lloyd? Should Google talk about where Stadia is heading right now?
I don't think so. I think that's what got them into all the issues before, where they promised a bunch of stuff, and it's like, well, what about this? You said you're coming out with this. We already know that Google has kind of changed gears a little bit. They're no longer making their own games and making the platform for those games. So we know that they're doing things a little bit differently. I just want to be wowed. I want them to come out on E3 week and say, "Yep, we're now on the Google TVs, and we're now on this, and this is a new feature that we have, and this new game is coming that supports ray tracing." That type of stuff. I want the announcement more around when it's happening, not so much of like kind of the roadmap thing. I'd love the roadmap, but I think that causes way more negative articles as we've been seeing over the last little bit. I think Google has changed gears really well. People have left, like John Justice is no longer at Google. Apparently, he's in a different company. There's a new head. We'd love to chat with them. There's a new head of PR. We'd love to chat with her. There's all these new people involved. But yeah, we're small. We're small potatoes compared to some of the other channels out there. So I totally understand why we might not be high up on the list, but we always want to chat with people at Google. So people that are Googlers, you're listening, we'd love to chat with you.
Absolutely. And as far as you mentioned E3, I don't think Google should say anything at E3. Like, they don't make games, and they're not going to be like, "Here's Stadia 2." So I don't know what they would say.
Well,
at E3.
it could be like
I think that in place of that, they would just say, "All right, we're just going to let our partners talk about their games."
I could see them doing kind of like a Nintendo Direct kind of thing, where it's like, here's this game, and here's this game, and here's this game, and here's this game that can only be done on Google Stadia because of Stream Connect and Crowd Play and Crowd Choice, and do more stuff like that. I worry that they just don't have the volume of games ready to show off. But hopefully there's a few, and they could do something in the near future, because this is when gamers expect to see news coming into like first, second, third week of June. They expect just floods of news from all over the industry. It'd be really nice if we could get more news from Google's side as well. Although, as we said in the past, we highly doubt that. They've said flat out that they're not doing pre-announcements anymore. They're just gonna release things when they're ready, and maybe that's the best way for them to do it.
Okay. Well, sorry, I got distracted by a text. I'll say this: if I'm a game publisher and I'm making a multi-platform game, I don't know that I want it to be shown off at Stadia's event. I would want to show it off myself. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And because Google doesn't have their own games, I don't know that it makes sense for them to make an announcement. Now, if they made an announcement, I wouldn't be like, "Well, that was a mistake." I'd be like, "Okay, cool." I just think that like they said, we're not going to pre-announce things. We're just going to surprise people.
Yep.
I don't know how I feel about it. Like, I've been struggling with this. I was talking about it with some people yesterday, and I was kind of, I'm of both mind. I'm of two minds about this particular thing.
Right. Yeah. I think a video in the E3 week, there's nothing to say. Like we've seen in previous E3s, there'll be like the Sony presentation, and they show off Game X, and the Game X is fantastic and it looks so good on PlayStation, but then we see that game show up in a sizzle reel on Nintendo Switch and Xbox as well. The same thing could happen for Stadia. Just show off some of the new games that are going to be coming, and even if they're on other videos, it would be good just to show some more things that we maybe don't know. But again, Google has said that we're showing, not telling, so maybe we're not going to get any of that in the near future, and they're just going to keep dropping their weekly news announcements, and that'll be what we have to live with.
Yeah. I also think that, there's going to be people who are like, worried about the logo. They're like, how come the logo's not on this game? How come the logo's not in that game?
Yeah.
I'm guessing that there's a lot of different cloud platforms. There's xCloud, there's GeForce Now, there's Stadia, there's Luna, There's a lot of different cloud platforms. I think that publishers, Ubisoft did this right. When they announced that new Division 2 thing, they said coming to PC, console, and
And cloud.
cloud. That
Yeah.
way, they're not saying specifically which platforms it's coming to. I'm sure that you can find out someplace, but I'm sure that they'll tell us eventually, like at some point, this is the
Yeah.
platforms that it's coming to. Like maybe it's not going to be on Luna or something.
Yeah.
But I think that's the way to go. And just the fact that you don't see that weird S on a title card at E3 does not portend doom. That's just the way I look at it, though.
Yeah, I agree. I think publishers are treating Stadia as not a console. So when you see all of the title cards that have logos on them, they list out all the consoles that support it, and then they say PC. And that's kind of the catch-all. It may be on Steam, maybe on Epic, maybe on EA, maybe on Itch.io, maybe on GOG, maybe on all sorts of different platforms. They just say PC, and I believe in the past that's been including Stadia as well,
Mm-hmm.
and other cloud streaming things. So hopefully in the future, more companies will do what Ubisoft is saying, where it's PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, and cloud, and then we'll at least have a little bit more idea that it might come to Stadia because of that. So yeah, I do think publishers treat Stadia as kind of its own thing. That's why we're not on title cards, even on games that we know are coming to Stadia.
Right. Karate Guy, no. Karate Guy Joe, I like your name, but I can't talk about you yet. We got to talk about Eric, and I think that Lloyd's probably not going to like this comment. Eric said, "Go Canucks." Is that like a
Yeah.
slight against the Jets?
Go Canucks is Vancouver's hockey team, but they're out of the playoffs, so they're gonna have to go next year, Eric. Sorry about that. Sorry about that.
Oh my God, that's some serious shade. Hey, thank you very much for the support, though, Eric. That's awesome, and I hope your hockey team does well. All right, Karate Guy Joe, who's got a funny name. He says Stadia should also embrace more streaming controls with their YouTube interface. Snagging a few notable streamers would go a long way in promoting Stadia in a positive light. I absolutely, well, I think that, I don't know, YouTube makes me so mad with their awful UI. That needs to be fixed. But I think that, why do you think that we don't see links yet? Like when I go to watch a game for, let's say, the Division 2. If I watch somebody play the Division 2, there's a little thing down there that says the Division 2, and there is nary a link anywhere that says you can play this game on Stadia by clicking this link. Why is that not a thing yet?
I think that's just kind of how Google, like, I'm not the Google expert. I use Android tablets, I use Android phones, but I'm not like one of the like diehard study everything about Google. But from what I've noticed over the past little bit is Google's very much a company where the left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing, where you might have two different teams working on different messaging apps or different audio apps. It seems less so now. It was like that a lot in the past because I guess Googlers having their free time, they could kind of make whatever they want type stuff. That's kind of changed. But yeah, it very much seems like YouTube doesn't understand what Stadia is, and Stadia isn't integrating with YouTube as best as it could. I would love to see that change. For Karate Guy Joe's message saying Stadia should embrace more streaming controls, hell yeah. Like there's no reason why when that pop-up comes up where you're looking at your stream and it's showing how many people are watching and stuff, that there can't be check marks saying display my chat messages on screen, or display this, display that, and have more stuff pop up on the screen server side. So it's not going to replace OBS in that instance, but at least you could have more widgets on the screen. Down the road, I'd love to see the ability to kind of ingest a camera feed and then overlay stream that eventually goes out to YouTube. I know Google said they're working on that type of stuff. That's going to happen in the future. But more controls, the ability for people to kind of change the way that their stream looks compared to everybody else that's streaming on Stadia would be a really nice thing.
Yeah, somebody asked, I think it was last week, about trying to find people who are streaming on Stadia. It does, like right now, it works. You can stream on Stadia, but it would be really nice if I didn't have to use another device at all. If I'm just playing my game and I got my headphones plugged into my controller and I hit a button and it brings up and it says, "Do you want to start streaming?" And I say yes. And then it sends it to my YouTube channel as a brand new whatever, and
Hmm.
chat pops up on the screen. Um,
Yep.
like it just, each game should know where is a good spot for chat to go. And
Yep.
then it just
Yeah.
pops up on the screen. And then I can play and I can talk to people and I can respond to their chats all from my Stadia controller and without me having to have a really, really good upload speed. Like right now, you can stream, I think, to Twitch on Xbox and on PlayStation doing that
Yep.
kind of thing. It's,
Yep.
fairly easy to do, but you have to have a good upload speed in order to do that. With Stadia, because the upload is coming from YouTube, that upload speed doesn't matter. And so it makes it so much easier for everybody who wants to do it that doesn't have a fast upload speed to be able to participate that way. So that's the
Right.
kind of thing that I would really like to see as well. And Karate Guy Joe is saying things about exclusivity for streamers is a big deal and their fans buy whatever they push. I'm not sure what you mean by exclusivity. I'm not. Google should not go after a streamer and say, "Hey, we want you to stream only Stadia games, and we'll pay you a bunch of
Right.
money to do that." Because what that's going to do is that's going to bring in an audience of people who already are big fans of Stadia, and they're going to be
Right.
watching that person. And the people who maybe aren't interested in that are going to stop watching, and so you're not going to grow the platform that way. The best way
Right.
to grow the platform is to get people who have audiences who like lots of different stuff to check out this new thing. I think
Yep.
that's a much better um, a better way to go about growing the platform. I'm not saying
Yeah.
don't go to streamers and try and get them to stream your stuff, but trying to lock down exclusivity, I think, is always a mistake.
Yeah, and Darren in the chat room says, I don't agree that it would move the needle. People who watch streaming probably have already invested in PC or consoles for streaming. Fully get that, but when you give more tools to people, they use those tools. So I've seen a number of Stadia streamers that only stream from the built-in streaming on Stadia. They don't use OBS. They don't capture either a video window through a capture card or capture a browser window and stream it out that way. They want to stream and talk to their listeners. They don't care about a camera, obviously, but they just want to do it this way. They want to do it easily. So having that built into the platform as an easy way for anybody to make a rudimentary stream without even having to think about it, I think that's a good thing. It's only going to help Stadia down the road as well. Once more and more people start buying games there, they'll be like, oh, I can just hit this one button and I'm streaming. This is awesome. And then you'll get more Stadia streams out there. But like Bill said, I wish there was a really good way to look at Moonlighter and then see all the streams for Moonlighter that are coming on Google Stadia, so that if I only want to watch people that are playing Stadia, I can do that, but then have all the other live streams that are currently ongoing below that. That would be a really great way for Google to kind of highlight their own platform without excluding everybody else.
Well, and that's not what I meant either. What I meant was like have Moonlighter there and let me click and buy it right then. But also
Oh,
click
I
on
thought
it and
you
show me
meant
the people
watching.
who are streaming it. And I don't care what personally, I don't care what platform somebody's streaming a game on. If they're playing it on Xbox or PlayStation or Switch or Stadia, it's going to be pretty much the same experience. So I'm just going to watch it. And for those of you that are like, well, but on this platform the graphics are better on that platform, you guys know me. I don't care about that stuff very much. So I just want to see
Right.
what the game's like.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for the support and everybody who came to our live show today. You are all fantastic people. This has been episode 111 of Stadiacast. Lloyd, you want to
Yep.
take us out?
Yeah, thanks everybody for coming out. It's always great to hang out with you, fine people in the chat, and everybody that listens to us down the road as a podcast. Thanks for joining us. Make sure to check nerdnest.tv for what time the Tuesday stream is going to happen. Would love to see all of you fine folks out there as well.
Bye, everybody.
Later.
There we go. We did it. File save.
Awesome. 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 Thanks everybody. appreciate you coming out and joining us. Two Dogs Go Jets Go. Thank you. Big game tonight. Can go up 3-0 in the series. Oh, I'm so excited. Sander L, June Pro predictions. No, we generally don't do that on the show because we're always wrong.
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw out a prediction. Moonlighter is gonna be one of the June Pro games.
Oh, there we go. Okay. Okay,
one.
June Pro predictions. I have no idea. I'm looking at the games that are already on Stadia.
Yeah. Let's look at upcoming games to see if there's anything there. Upcoming games. Here we go. Chris Tales.
Here we go. Dragon Quest 11S.
Ah, that's a good one.
And then it'll only be available for like 2 months before it's no longer claimable, because that's what Square Enix does. Actually, but I bet you just a month.
I could see another Shantae game going as a free pro title. I could see them doing that because we know that the next the next one, which is an old one, which is Shantae's and the Pirate's Curse, that is coming in the future as well. So it would make sense.
Yeah. All right, everybody. I hope that you all have a wonderful day. Lloyd, are we playing D&D?
Yeah, I need to go remove some bandages and do some stuff to help my daughter out. But then yeah, after that, for sure, we're gonna get some killing things in by rolling dice.
All right. See you, everybody.
All right, take it easy.